AOC. So they are saying AOC is being seen as the true leader of the Democratic Party. Let me say that again for the people in the back. AOC is being tabbed as the true leader of the Democratic Party. That is the funniest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. AOC and Bernie Sanders is on the Fight Oligarchy tour. And let me tell you, they actually have a whole lot of liberals that have been showing up to this tour. A whole lot. And they are trying to replace Chuck Schumer and unseat him. And so this is how they're doing it. I want to show this from a couple different views. And so this is how I'm going to present it to you guys. We're going to go to a more of a liberal platform, and then we're going to move over into Fox News so that we can cover this efficiently. So this is what's happening with AOC in their Fight Oligarchy tour is being brought to all of these different states.
Bernie Sanders hosted a rally in Tempe tonight, speaking out against President Trump's administration and the cuts coming down from Washington. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono was there, and she is joining us live. And Bianca, why did they pick Arizona?
Caribe, they say they're targeting swing states and districts, and this was the first of 2 rallies planned for Arizona, and thousands of people showed up for it. AOC and Bernie Sanders spoke out against President Trump, but whether their message will stick here in Arizona remains to be seen.
Thousands of people packing the Mullet Arena in Tempe, while thousands more watched from an overflow site outside to listen to politicians from the other side of the country.
The distance between us is a lot shorter than we think.
Prominent progressives Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez bringing their Fighting Oligarchy tour to the Valley, raising concerns over President Trump's administration and influence of Elon Musk.
If we're going to make America great, you got to have the best educated workforce in the world.
I believe that in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, if a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt. Common sense.
Promoting policies that they...
Hey, imagine sitting in a stadium. Imagine sitting in a stadium, because I'm going to tell you what I believe that the strategy is, but imagine sitting in a stadium, listening to Bernie Sanders and AOC give a speech that is as basic as saying, I believe that when people get sick, they shouldn't lose their health insurance. Imagine sitting in an overflow site and in a stadium where they're basically campaigning, because that's what I believe that the strategy really is. I believe that they are positioning themselves individually to benefit so that they can possibly unseat Chuck Schumer. People believe that AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and Bernie Sanders is the face of the new Democratic Party. And so people want a voice amidst a falling and failing Democrat Party whose polling numbers is absolutely dismal. You see a lot of liberals, and they're going to be doing it in all of these swing states. You got Tim Walz, who still want to make sure that he remains relevant. Tim Walz on an interview said that he had recently spoken with Kamala Harris, and he was trying to get her to re-energize themselves so that they can gear up for a possible another run at a 2028 presidential election, if that's what she wanted to do, if she decided that she didn't want to run around for governor of California. And I said, Timmy Walz, Timmy Tampon Tim Walz. I even seen Tim Walz's daughter drop a video on TikTok, making sure that she go at people and hold them accountable and things like that. So they are trying to get proactive and take a page out of Trump's book and strategy, which I believe is a smart thing to do for Democrats. And they're taking, I don't know if you want to pick somebody as liberal left as AOC, but they're basically trying to take a page out of Trump's book when Trump basically continued to campaign and have conversations despite the fact that he was under political persecution and prosecution over 2020, 2021, 22, and 23, so that they can put themselves in a position to possibly even run for the president of the United States of America. That's what I believe is happening. And so people in the Democratic Party are already jockeying for position so that eventually within 2 or 3 years, they can put themselves in a position to not only hold on to their seats, but possibly run for the president of the United States of America. But here's what I'm wondering. As AOC pulls up to Arizona, and they go to these swing states and stuff like this, right? I did a little bit of research this morning prior to adding this into the docket of the things that I wanted to talk about. And what I realized is not only did AOC kill the Amazon deal that would have brought more jobs to her own district, she never replaced it with anything, A, and B, the people in her district is still suffering. So if you go over to all of these places that they actually preside over as senators and congresspeople, why would you want, because I know that it's popular, social media, knowing how to market people, the Democrat Party is now pushing money and putting money. What you think that they're able to just get these tours off the ground and do all of this promotion just based off of them going live on TikTok and Instagram? You think that they're able to pack these places because they are going live on Instagram and TikTok? You think that that's what generates the revenue for them to be able to book a stadium? This is funded. This is funded. This is a funding that is being perpetuated by donations and taxpayer dollars. Nobody still accounted for or had a conversation about how Kamala Harris spent $1.5 billion during her campaign. That just went away like nothing. Nobody tripped about it. After about a week or two, we knew that Al Sharpton got his money. We knew that all of these different entities got their money. We know that Beyonce got her money. We know that Oprah got her money. We know that all of these liberals was getting to their bag, and nobody is having a conversation about how they overspent, why they were still in the deficit, and where the rest of the $1.3 billion went. Nobody knows. Nobody. It just went away. It just somehow vanished. A new story came out. Jay-Z got accused by a chick that was dyslexic and was on the spectrum, and everybody focused on that, and nobody had a conversation about the type of money that was being spent on Kamala Harris's campaign anymore. So how are they booking these stadiums is what we have to ask ourselves. Come on, we got to deep dive deeper, and we got to figure out where it comes back to the money. Who is funding this? Who is funding the AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Bernie Sanders Fight Oligarchy tour? Because if you think this is really about oligarchy and this is not a marketing campaign, you a fool. You always have to ask yourself, who is in the back that is funding these things, and how are they able to rent out an entire stadium to basically allow for people to be able to come in for free? How are they able to do it? How are they able to do it? Who's funding it and who's benefiting from it? That's what we need to ask ourselves, okay? We got to ask the uncomfortable questions. Even though it's not kosher to do, we got to ask the question.
They say benefit working class Americans.
We will not accept a society today in which we have massive income and wealth inequalities, where the very rich have never done better while working families are struggling to put food on the table.
They're standing in a state that Trump won. 36% of Arizona voters are registered Republicans, and 33% are independent, compared to 29% who are Democrats.
We have to get involved. We have to get active. We have
Right.
to get engaged.
This speech is resonating
All
with
right.
this
Now
crowd.
you asking the right questions. Why are they saying fight oligarchy? Especially when, because this campaign has already been put together a long time. Elon Musk has lost a significant chunk of his net worth directly tied to the value of Tesla, which if SpaceX went public, if Neuralink went public, if all of these other companies went public, he'd literally be considered probably a trillionaire. So I'm not really sure if Elon Musk is sweating the way that they think that he is. Although, losing a lot of your net worth to do the thing that's right for the American people is absolutely one of the most American things that you can do, because he's basically giving away his wealth. And he could have just marketed himself and continued to sell more Teslas. As a matter of fact, who's to say that it's not even in Elon Musk's best interest to support an AOC, to support a dad, Jasmine Crockett, to even had supported Kamala Harris? But because he believes in the fabric of what America truly is, he's doing the right thing and he's making a sacrifice. So then they will say, well, we're going to fight oligarchy, and they don't include millionaires no more. You know why? Because they all millionaires. They're all millionaires. You can't say we have to fight millionaires because they now are a part of that class. They have to say, well, we're going to fight billionaires. This is an oligarchy that we have to fight against. That's what they have to market themselves as. They can't do it anymore. All right. But I want to share with you guys the conservative perspective. This is Sean Hannity having a conversation about AOC being seen as a true leader in the Democratic Party polls. This is what he had to say about it. Let me share my screen with you guys really quickly so that you can get the full story and what Democrats are saying versus what Republicans are saying.
Democratic Party, they remain leaderless, and party infighting has only intensified following Chuck Schumer's support for the Republican funding bill. And NBC News is now reporting several House.
Uncut says a millionaire these days is not what he used to be. Facts. I agree with you. 100% it's not what it used to be. But it doesn't mean that it's not significant. And it doesn't mean that it's not a class war. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a bigger divide between the haves and the have-nots. But you are absolutely right about that.
Democrats, they are urging AOC to primary Schumer in 2028. Starting today, the Congresswoman is joining Bernie Sanders at a series of rallies in Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. And that's further sparking questions about her considering a run for higher office, which, by the way, it may surprise you, I am highly supportive of. After all, she is the true leader of the radical Democratic Party. Let her hold her rightful position. And according to a new CNN poll, voters believe AOC embodies the party's core values more so than both Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. Here with reaction, former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, along with the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Look at this, the dynamic duo. I have no idea who to go to first. I really don't. I have no idea.
You go to Jim. Go to Jim.
Mark's older.
Go to the
Mark's
chairman.
older. Go to him. Mark's older. Oh, wow. That's cold. All right, Mark, we'll start with you. AOC is the leader of the party. Jasmine Crockett's the leader of the party. Chuck, has to now grovel to stay in power. Whether or not he's successful or not, time will tell. I'm okay with AOC leading the party.
Well, obviously, she represents the vast majority of that extreme left wing of the party. But the poll that you were talking about, Sean, the interesting thing is, had Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders not been in that poll, it would have been 1 in 4 actually believes that she should lead the party. So is that making Chuck Schumer sweat? Yes, you can't imagine, like a hot day in South Carolina, he's sweating. But the real problem is this is not about personalities, Sean. It's about policy. And the fact is their policies don't work. 77 million people let their voice be heard on that particular subject back in November.
Jim Jordan, I'm getting very nervous now about the actions of the Democratic Party. If they want to hold bingo cards, fine. If they don't want to stand for mothers that lost their children, okay, that's on them. They don't have a soul, in my view, but that's fine. But now that they're going into Republican districts with their talking points, trying to create a hostile atmosphere, now we're talking about danger. Now that you have groups and even congresswomen that are supporting going after Elon Musk the way they are, like Jasmine Crockett did that we showed earlier, that is a frightening scenario.
No, it's scary, and it's not going to help them politically. I mean, when you embrace crazy, you're going to be at a 27% approval rating. I don't care who leads their party. As long as they're embracing these crazy policies, it's going to be a win for us. And I think President Trump probably said it best. It's common sense versus crazy. So go down the list. It is crazy to defund the police. It is crazy not to have a border. It is crazy to have men compete against women in sports. It's crazy to attack Teslas and burn them up, go after dealerships. And maybe the one that is front and center on Americans' minds is what this judge did this past week. It is crazy for an unelected federal district judge to say, turn the plane around, bring back hardened gang member criminals who are here illegally, turn them around, bring those bad guys back to America. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But that is now their party. And if they want to continue to embrace the craziness, we'll keep doing the common sense things that President Trump talks about and is getting done for the American people.
I think that it's a mistake for Democrats to even go further left and go more left-leaning with the type of people that they basically embracing. Bernie Sanders has always always been unelectable. When he ran for president of the United States of America, I said that Bernie Sanders is so far left-leaning that he is completely unelectable. And you know what the Democrat Party is doing right now? Instead of embracing Chuck Schumer, moving more middle to work with other Republicans and being more bipartisan. Actually, that's what I think that Gavin Newsom's strategy is. I don't know if it's going to work because basically liberals are becoming even more indoctrinated and they're becoming more left-leaning, while at the same time, there are a lot of people that's actually leaving the Democrat Party. I believe that Gavin Newsom's strategy is to rebrand himself to be more left-leaning, more right-leaning, or more towards the middle, more of a moderate Democrat. And that's why he's having conversations with both Tim Walz, with Charlie Kirk. He'll have a conversation with a Republican. He'll have a conversation with a Democrat. I believe that his platform, him creating a podcast, is to have conversations to where he's basically allowing himself to be marketed to the American people so that he can gear up for a run for president in 2028. Now, on the flip side, you still have people that are more radical, more left-leaning, and they have this hate Trump campaign, which will always peter out and it will not win them a national election. And when it comes down to it, when people start to go to the polls, and when we get to the midterms or we get to election season, if you have AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and Bernie Sanders at the top of the tickets or at the top of the Democrat Party, and that's who the people that you're defending on, Republicans is going to be in power for a long time. Republicans are going to be in power for a long time because most Americans don't want men and women's bathrooms. Most Americans do not want illegal migrants over into this country. Most Americans do not want fraud, waste, and abuse inside of the government, regardless, because people that are not extreme liberals, even if you are a Democrat, you just don't say nothing. We've seen a whole lot of Democrats just shut the hell up during this past election, and it was just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm crazy. I'm confused. I'm not sure what is happening. They just wouldn't even talk about immigration. If you would have approached any Democrat, any woman, any man during this past election season, and you said, hey, man, why are you voting for AOC? Or, hey, man, why are you voting for Kamala Harris? Hey, fam, why do you support Tim Walz? You know that he support tampons in boys' bathrooms, right? Why do you do this? Why would you do this? For some subjects, like the only thing that they can say is, well, that's a black woman, or I don't like Trump, or Project 2025, or something. It was something that had to do with something that they didn't like about something else. But they could not stand on why they actually supported things. And what AOC and Jasmine Crockett is they basically saying, we so mad. They don't have anything to stand on from a policy perspective. They don't have anything to stand on logically that would affect families. Their districts is in disarray. The places and the people that they serve actually don't have jobs. There's bigger unemployment in the places that they serve. And so all of these people are just becoming more extreme. And even if you see a large majority of their base showing up to come and see them, it does not translate into them being successful when it comes to controlling our three branches of government. If you're picking AOC, if you're picking Bernie Sanders and Jasmine Crockett as your people that you want to rock out with you, then y'all are going to be absolutely in trouble. Y'all going to be in trouble. We support you. We support Kamala Harris, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Bernie Sanders. We support y'all. We support y'all rocking out with them because that's just going to make sure that we stay in power for a long time. If they're not looking at the polls and realizing that they are failing bad, y'all in trouble.